At 48 years old, Floyd Mayweather's name is once again circling in the headlines. But this time it isn't just another exhibition bout. Talks of him returning to professional boxing, not celebrity matches, not money-driven sparring showcases, but an actual pro fight, have set the combat sports world ablaze. And at the center of this storm is the idea of him facing one of the most dangerous fighters alive. Today, Terence "Bud" Crawford. The whispers of this possibility have ignited debates across gyms, podcasts, and sports bars, pitting Floyd's legendary past against Crawford's terrifying present. Joe Rogan, never shy with his takes, looked at the prospect with blunt realism. To Rogan, the Floyd Mayweather of 2025 is not the Pretty Boy Floyd of the late 90s, nor even the Money Mayweather who toyed with Canelo and Pacquiao in the 2010s. Rogan stressed that age robs every fighter, no matter how untouchable they once seemed. Reflexes dull, stamina slips, and the lungs don't respond the same way under the relentless pace of a 12-round war. Rogan warned that Floyd's legendary defense would no longer be as crisp, that his body simply wouldn't allow him to maintain the surgical precision fans grew accustomed to. At 48, Rogan said, simply finishing 12 rounds against a fighter of Crawford's caliber would be a Herculean task, let alone winning them. And Rogan wasn't alone. Former champion Timothy Bradley, a man who shared the ring with legends, offered perhaps the harshest reality check. He insisted that even Prime 4, Crawford could beat Floyd. Bradley pointed to Floyd's struggles against Zab Judah, a talented but inconsistent southpaw. Crawford, Bradley argued, is everything Judah wasn't: focused, relentless, and devastatingly powerful. Crawford switches stances with ease, controls distance like a master, and carries knockout power that Floyd never truly possessed. In Bradley's eyes, Crawford is the most complete fighter he has ever seen. And he didn't hesitate to say it flatly. Crawford would whoop Floyd. He would melt him. 7 days a week. The language is brutal, but it reflects a wider sentiment. Fans who grew up idolizing Floyd's 52-0 run, the immaculate defense, the shoulder roll that seemed untouchable, now find themselves torn. On one hand, Mayweather's name still carries the weight of greatness. On the other, the memory of his last truly competitive pro fight, the 2017 spectacle against Conor McGregor, reminds everyone how much time has passed. That was 8 years ago. 8 years in a sport where even 1 year can mean the difference between sharpness and decline. To many, the idea of Floyd stepping back into a sanctioned pro fight isn't just risky, it feels reckless. But what makes this conversation so compelling is the contrast in styles, legacies, and eras. Floyd built a career on defensive perfection, frustrating opponents into submission and piling up decision victories. He was never the fan-friendly knockout artist. He was the surgeon who took risks out of the equation. As Joe Rogan put it, Floyd's evolution from Pretty Boy to Money Mayweather traded thrills for consistency. That's why critics often argued his fights lacked excitement even while his bank account swelled. Crawford, by contrast, is cut from a different cloth. He adapts mid-fight, he applies pressure, he breaks opponents mentally and physically. Where Floyd was untouchable, Crawford is undeniable. Other voices in boxing have weighed in too. Oscar De La Hoya, who shared the ring with Floyd, reminded fans that Mayweather's 50-0 legacy is untouchable. To him, greatness is measured by the undefeated record and the consistency of Floyd's career. But De La Hoya also admitted that Crawford is special, a modern great with the tools to dismantle nearly anyone. Shane Mosley went further, noting that Crawford's natural size and reach advantage would be nearly impossible for an older, smaller Floyd to overcome. Mosley acknowledged Floyd's brilliance but believed that against a bigger, younger, stronger Crawford, the odds would tip heavily against Mayweather. And then there's Roy Jones Jr., who didn't mince words when asked about Floyd's place in history. Jones argued that aside from his fight with Canelo Alvarez, Floyd avoided the most dangerous opponents at their peaks. He questioned whether the undefeated record really tells the whole story, especially compared to fighters like Crawford, who consistently fought and defeated the best of their era. To Jones, Floyd might not even crack the top 5 all time. A statement that cuts deep against Floyd's carefully crafted image as TBE the best ever. For Floyd, Legacy has always been as important as victory. He branded himself as untouchable, better than Ali, greater than any who came before him. But the chatter surrounding Crawford threatens to chip away at that mythology. When Canelo Alvarez himself said Crawford was way better than Floyd, the comparisons only intensified. Suddenly, Mayweather isn't just defending his record, he's defending his place in history. And perhaps that's why whispers of him targeting Crawford for a comeback fight won't go away. The risk is enormous. At 49, a loss to Crawford would permanently stain the spotless record. But the reward? If Floyd somehow pulled it off, it would silence every critic and cement his claim as the greatest of all time. Still, the overwhelming consensus is grim for Floyd's chances. A 48 or 49-year-old body cannot mimic the reflexes of a 28-year-old, no matter how disciplined the training. Crawford is not McGregor, nor Logan Paul, nor any of the exhibition opponents Floyd has paraded around with in recent years. He is a reigning, active, pound-for-pound king who dismantled Errol Spence and has carved out his own spot in boxing history. For Floyd to willingly step into that ring would be less about competition and more about chasing immortality. And that's what makes this conversation so electrifying. It isn't just about boxing. It's about pride, legacy, ego, and the cruel reality of time. Mayweather's name is already carved into the sport's Mount Rushmore, but every fighter, no matter how great, eventually faces the question, when is enough truly enough? So now fans are left asking, if Floyd Mayweather actually dares to fight Terence Crawford in a professional bout, is it brilliance or delusion? Is he reaching for one last taste of glory? Or is he risking everything he's built for a fight he cannot win? The boxing world is divided, but one thing is clear. If this fight ever comes to pass, it won't just be another event. It will be a moment of truth that defines the legacies of both men. Do you think Floyd should risk it all and step into the ring with Terence Crawford? Would it be the biggest fight in modern history, or the downfall of a legend? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the most dramatic stories in sports.